In a small village in Zambia, there lived a farmer named Mwanza. He worked very hard every day, growing crops and taking care of his animals. His wife, Amina, always supported him, cooking delicious meals and taking care of their home. They were not rich, but they loved each other very much. One sunny morning, while digging in the field, Mwanza's shovel hit something hard. Curious, he dug deeper and found a shiny, golden pot filled with jewels. Excited and amazed, Mwanza rushed home to show Amina. "Look what I found," he shouted, holding the pot high. Amina's eyes widened with surprise. "This is incredible. We can finally have a better life." Mwanza smiled, but a part of him felt worried. He knew that treasure could bring happiness, but it could also cause problems. Word of Mwanza's discovery spread quickly through the village. Everyone started talking about the treasure beneath the baobab tree. Some villagers were happy for Mwanza, but others felt jealous. "How could he be so lucky?" they whispered. "We should have that treasure." One man, named Chibundu, was especially angry. He was always jealous of Mwanza and wanted the treasure for himself. Chibundu gathered a group of villagers to plan how they could take the treasure from Mwanza. Meanwhile, Mwanza and Amina were busy thinking about how to use the treasure wisely. "We should help our village," Mwanza said. "We can build a school and help the children learn." Amina nodded, but she worried about what would happen next. As the days passed, villagers began to visit Mwanza's farm, hoping to catch a glimpse of the treasure. Some were friendly, but others were sneaky. One day, a villager named Kunda approached Mwanza. "You should keep the treasure a secret. It will only bring trouble," he warned. Mwanza listened carefully, but he didn't want to hide something so wonderful. "I want to share my good fortune," he replied. However, Kunda's words planted a seed of doubt in Mwanza's mind. He started to think about how his life would change with all that wealth. He could buy a bigger house, better clothes, and more animals. But what would happen to his simple life with Amina? Would she still love him if they became rich? Mwanza felt confused and unsure. As more people heard about the treasure, the jealousy in the village grew. Chibundu and his friends decided they needed a plan. "We can't let Mwanza keep all that treasure. We deserve it too," Chibundu said angrily. They plotted to steal the pot while Mwanza was away. Meanwhile, Mwanza and Amina continued to dream about how to improve their lives and help their village. One evening, as they sat beneath the baobab tree, Amina said, "Let's use the treasure for good. We can help our neighbors." Mwanza smiled and agreed, but he couldn't shake the feeling that danger was lurking. The once peaceful village was now filled with whispers and plotting, and Mwanza began to worry about what might happen next. One night, while Mwanza and Amina were asleep, Chibundu and his friends sneaked into their farm. They thought Mwanza would not notice them, but Mwanza had a dog named Jumba, who was very protective. When Jumba saw the intruders, he barked loudly, waking Mwanza. Startled, Mwanza jumped out of bed. "Who's there?" he shouted, rushing outside. Chibundu and his friends were frightened and ran away, but they vowed to come back. Mwanza felt relieved but knew that this was just the beginning of trouble. "Amina, we need to be careful," he said, worried about what Chibundu might do next. The next day, Mwanza visited the village chief to warn him about the trouble brewing over the treasure. The chief listened carefully, concerned for Mwanza and Amina. "You must keep the treasure safe," he advised. "Jealousy can bring out the worst in people." Mwanza nodded, feeling grateful for the chief's wisdom. After the meeting, Mwanza returned home and told Amina about the chief's warning. "We must protect what we have," he said firmly. Amina agreed, but her heart ached at the thought of hiding their treasure. "We should still share our plans with others," she suggested. Mwanza thought for a moment and realized that Amina was right. They needed to find a way to unite the village instead of causing more division. Mwanza decided to hold a village gathering to share his plans for the treasure. He invited everyone, hoping to bring the community together. "We will build a school, a health clinic, and help those in need," he announced proudly. The villagers listened, and some clapped in support. But Chibundu stood up, his face twisted with anger. "Why should we help you? You're the one with the treasure," he yelled. Mwanza took a deep breath. "I want to share my good fortune with everyone," he replied calmly. "We can achieve great things together if we work as a community." Some villagers nodded, but others remained skeptical. Amina looked worried. "What if Chibundu tries to stop us?" she whispered to Mwanza. He promised her they would find a way to protect their dreams. After the gathering, tensions in the village grew. Chibundu was furious that Mwanza wanted to share the treasure. He gathered a group of villagers who were jealous and angry. They whispered among themselves, plotting their next move. Mwanza and Amina tried to stay positive, but they could feel the fear in the air. One evening, as they were sitting outside, Mwanza said, "Amina, we need to keep our treasure safe. Maybe we can hide it." Amina nodded but felt sad. "Hiding it means we can't help anyone," she replied softly. Mwanza sighed, knowing that they had to make a tough decision soon. Chibundu and his friends came up with a plan to take the treasure for themselves. They decided to create a fake treasure map and trick Mwanza into giving it to them. "He will never suspect a thing." Chibundu laughed, feeling confident. Meanwhile, Mwanza and Amina were busy thinking about how to make their dreams come true. As the days passed, Mwanza noticed that the atmosphere in the village was tense. People who used to be friendly were now distant. He worried about the impact of the treasure on his relationships. Amina, sensing his concern, said, "We will get through this together, Mwanza. Our love is stronger than any treasure." Mwanza smiled, feeling grateful for Amina's support. Chibundu and his friends drew a fake map and planned to approach Mwanza. They believed it would lead to even more treasure hidden deeper in the forest. "We will trick him into thinking we are helping him," Chibundu said with a sly grin. They decided to wait until a village gathering to present their fake map to Mwanza. On the day of the gathering, Chibundu stood up in front of the villagers, holding the map. "Look what I found! A map that leads to more treasure," he shouted. Mwanza felt his heart race. He looked at Amina, who looked worried. "What should we do?" he whispered. Amina replied, "Let's listen and see what they have to say." Chibundu presented the fake map to Mwanza, claiming it would lead to hidden riches. "You should join us on this adventure, Mwanza," he said, trying to sound friendly. Mwanza felt suspicious but wanted to protect his treasure. "Where did you find this map?" he asked, trying to stay calm. Chibundu smiled. "It's been passed down through generations. Let's work together to find the treasure." The villagers were excited, but Mwanza could sense the trick. "I appreciate your offer, but I need to think about it," he replied. As Chibundu sat down, the tension grew thicker in the air, and Mwanza knew they were in for a big fight. That night, Mwanza and Amina talked about what to do. "Should we go along with Chibundu's plan?" Amina asked, her voice trembling. Mwanza shook his head. "I don't trust him. He only wants the treasure for himself." They both knew that Chibundu would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. The next day, Mwanza made a tough decision. He gathered the villagers and announced, "I will not follow Chibundu's map. I believe in working together for our future, not fighting over treasure." Some villagers clapped in support, while others looked angry. Chibundu scowled, furious that Mwanza had rejected his plan. After Mwanza's decision, Chibundu's anger grew. He started spreading rumors about Mwanza, telling people that he was greedy and did not want to share his treasure. "He wants to keep all the wealth for himself," Chibundu shouted to anyone who would listen. The rumors began to take root, and soon some villagers turned against Mwanza. Mwanza felt sad and confused. "Why are they saying these things?" he asked Amina. "I just wanted to help." Amina hugged him tightly. "Don't worry, my love. We know the truth, and that's what matters." They tried to stay strong, but the bitterness in the village was hard to ignore. One stormy night, as Mwanza and Amina sat inside their home, they heard loud voices outside. Chibundu and his friends were yelling and demanding Mwanza give them the treasure. "You're a thief, Mwanza. Hand it over," they shouted. Mwanza's heart raced. He knew he had to protect his family and their treasure. Amina, stay inside and lock the door, Mwanza said firmly. He stepped outside, facing the angry villagers. This treasure belongs to me and my family. I won't let you take it, he shouted back. The wind howled around them, making the confrontation even more intense. Just when things seemed dire, the village chief arrived, sensing the chaos. Enough, he shouted, his voice booming over the storm. This fighting needs to stop. We are a community, and we must support each other. The villagers quieted down, realizing they had gone too far. Mwanza felt relieved to see the chief. I just want to help our village, he explained. The chief nodded. I believe you, Mwanza. Let's find a way to resolve this without fighting. Chibundu frowned, but the chief's authority made him back down for now. Mwanza and Amina felt a glimmer of hope. After the storm, the chief called for a gathering. He wanted everyone to come together and talk about the treasure and their future as a village. Mwanza and Amina prepared to share their vision once again. They hoped that this time, the villagers would listen without jealousy clouding their judgment. At the gathering, Mwanza spoke with passion. We can use the treasure to build a school, improve our farms, and help those in need, he said. Amina stood by his side, adding, Together, we can make our village a better place for everyone. Some villagers clapped, and Mwanza felt encouraged. Slowly but surely, more villagers began to support Mwanza's ideas. They realized that working together could bring greater rewards than fighting over treasure. Even some who had followed Chibundu started to change their minds. They saw the love between Mwanza and Amina and felt inspired. However, Chibundu was still plotting. He couldn't let go of his jealousy and wanted to create more chaos. They are trying to trick us, he shouted to his friends. We need to show them we won't back down. The seeds of rivalry were still alive, but Mwanza felt stronger with the growing support around him. As the villagers began to unite, Chibundu and his friends set a trap for Mwanza. They planned to sabotage the meeting and embarrass him in front of everyone. They spread false rumors that Mwanza was hiding even more treasure, and they intended to expose him. Mwanza felt uneasy but tried to remain hopeful. On the day of the meeting, as Mwanza stood up to speak, Chibundu interrupted. Why should we trust you, Mwanza? You're hiding something, he shouted, pointing fingers. The crowd gasped, and some began to murmur. Mwanza felt a wave of anxiety wash over him. I'm not hiding anything. I just want to help, he pleaded. Just as the tension escalated, the village chief intervened once more. Let's hear the truth from Mwanza, he said firmly. We need honesty in our village. The chief turned to Mwanza, giving him a chance to explain. Mwanza took a deep breath and spoke from his heart. I found a treasure, yes, but my goal is to help our community. I promise I'm not hiding anything. As Mwanza spoke, villagers began to listen. Amina stood beside him, supporting him with her presence. Slowly, Chibundu's lies began to crumble. The villagers started to remember the good things Mwanza had done before the treasure was found. The atmosphere shifted, and hope filled the air again. As the truth came out, Chibundu felt cornered. He realized that his plan was failing. In a moment of desperation, he decided to take more extreme actions. He secretly gathered a few loyal friends to confront Mwanza again. Meanwhile, Mwanza and Amina decided to take a trip to the forest to find inspiration for their village projects. In the quiet of the forest, Mwanza and Amina talked about their dreams. I want to build a school for the children, Mwanza said, feeling excited. Amina smiled. And I want to create a community garden to help everyone grow food. As they spoke, Mwanza felt a sense of peace, knowing that their love and unity would guide them through the challenges ahead. While Mwanza and Amina were in the forest, Chibundu and his friends followed them. They wanted to catch Mwanza off guard and scare him into giving up the treasure. As Mwanza and Amina enjoyed the beauty of nature, they heard whispers behind the trees. Mwanza felt a chill down his spine. Suddenly, Chibundu and his friends jumped out, blocking their path. We've come to teach you a lesson, Mwanza, Chibundu shouted. Mwanza stood tall, facing his rival. "I won't let you intimidate me," he declared, feeling determined. Amina held his hand tightly, supporting him through the tense moment. Mwanza knew he had to stay strong. "You can't take away my dreams or my treasure," he said firmly. Chibundu laughed. "You think you can stop us? We'll take what's ours." Mwanza felt a surge of courage. "The treasure is meant for the village, not for greed," he replied, trying to reason with Chibundu. Amina stepped forward, speaking softly but firmly. "We can all be better together. Why fight when we can create something wonderful?" Her words hung in the air, and Mwanza could see a flicker of doubt in some of Chibundu's friends. They began to question whether they wanted to continue down this path of rivalry. As tensions rose, Mwanza and Amina held hands, showing their unity. "Love is stronger than greed," Mwanza said, looking directly at Chibundu. "We can choose to help each other instead of fighting." Amina added, "Let's turn this rivalry into a partnership for our village. We can all benefit." The forest felt alive with their words. Chibundu's friends began to shift, unsure about their loyalty. Chibundu, feeling pressure from his friends' changing attitudes, yelled, "You'll regret this, Mwanza. I'll find a way to get that treasure." But Mwanza stood tall, knowing that love and determination would guide him. Back in the village, news spread about the confrontation in the forest. Some villagers were scared, while others felt empowered by Mwanza's courage. They began to question their loyalty to Chibundu. "Maybe it's time to support Mwanza and his vision," they whispered among themselves. Mwanza and Amina returned home, feeling hopeful. They knew they still had a long way to go, but they felt the shift in the village. "We need to keep spreading love and unity," Amina said. Mwanza agreed, determined to focus on their dreams and help others understand the true value of their treasure. Determined to build a better future, Mwanza and Amina organized a community meeting to share their dreams. "We can work together to improve our village," Mwanza said, his voice strong. "Let's build a school, a health clinic, and a garden to grow food for everyone." The villagers began to feel excited about the possibilities. "Yes, we can do this together," one villager shouted, and others echoed their agreement. Even some of Chibundu's friends felt inspired, realizing they could be part of something bigger than their rivalry. As the villagers began to work together, they slowly built trust among each other. Mwanza, Amina, and the chief led the way, organizing activities to improve their community. They planted gardens, repaired homes, and started teaching children. The atmosphere in the village shifted from jealousy to collaboration. One day, while working in the garden, Amina noticed a change in the villagers' attitudes. "Look at how they are coming together," she said to Mwanza, smiling. "This is what we wanted all along." Mwanza felt proud, knowing that love and unity was slowly winning over greed. Meanwhile, Chibundu watched from the sidelines, feeling more isolated as his friends joined Mwanza's efforts. He realized that his jealousy had driven everyone away. "I should have supported Mwanza instead of fighting him," he thought, regret filling his heart. But he didn't know how to reach out. Chibundu's friends began to talk about their plans for the village and how they could help. He felt a deep longing to be part of that, but he also felt ashamed of how he had acted. "Maybe it's too late for me," he whispered to himself, feeling lost. One day, while Mwanza and Amina were gathering vegetables from their garden, they ran into Chibundu. He looked different, his shoulders slumped and his eyes downcast. "Mwanza, can we talk?" he asked hesitantly. Mwanza looked surprised but nodded, sensing that this might be a turning point. Chibundu spoke softly. "I've been wrong. I let jealousy take over, and I regret how I treated you." Mwanza's heart softened. "I understand, Chibundu. It's not too late to change," he replied kindly. Amina stood beside Mwanza, feeling hopeful. They all knew that forgiveness was a powerful step towards healing. Mwanza and Amina welcomed Chibundu into their garden, offering him some vegetables. "We're working on building a better village. Would you like to help?" Mwanza asked, his tone sincere. Chibundu felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Yes, I want to help. I'm sorry for everything," he said, tears in his eyes. As they worked together, the tension began to melt away. Chibundu learned how hard Mwanza and Amina had worked to bring the village together. "I see now that we're stronger as a team," he admitted. The three of them laughed and shared stories, realizing that they could build something beautiful together. With Chibundu now part of their team, the village began to transform. Villagers came together to share ideas and create plans for their future. They built a school, repaired homes, and even started a community market. A sense of unity filled the air, and the village became a place of hope. As they worked side by side, Mwanza, Amina, and Chibundu found joy in their shared goals. The treasure was no longer just gold and jewels. It was the love and connection they built within their community. Amina smiled as she watched everyone coming together, proud of the difference they were making. The day finally arrived for the new school to open. Mwanza and Amina stood proudly outside, greeting the excited children and their parents. "Today, we celebrate knowledge in the future," Mwanza announced with a big smile. The villagers gathered, filled with joy and anticipation. As the first lessons began, Mwanza looked around and saw the happiness on everyone's faces. This is what the treasure was meant for, he thought, feeling grateful. Chibundu stood beside him, nodding in agreement. They had turned a bitter rivalry into a strong friendship, and their village was thriving. However, not everything was easy. As the school opened, some villagers still struggled with their feelings of jealousy. Chibundu noticed a few people whispering and looking unhappy. "We have to address their concerns," he said to Mwanza. "They might still feel left out." Mwanza nodded, knowing that building trust took time. "Let's invite everyone to share their thoughts and ideas. We need to keep communication open," he suggested. Amina agreed, wanting everyone to feel included. They planned a meeting to ensure that every voice would be heard. During the meeting, the villagers shared their feelings openly. Some expressed concerns about not having enough resources or opportunities. Mwanza listened carefully, acknowledging their worries. "We are all in this together," he said. "Let's find ways to support each other." Chibundu added, "We can create more programs to help those who need it most. Together, we can make sure no one feels left behind." The villagers felt a sense of relief as they realized their voices mattered. They began to work together, forming committees to address each concern. With the committees formed, the villagers worked tirelessly on various projects. They created gardens, organized trade markets, and even started a library. Everyone felt proud of their contributions, and the sense of community grew stronger every day. Mwanza, Amina, and Chibundu led by example, showing how teamwork could bring about change. "Look at how far we've come," Amina said one day, smiling as she watched the children playing in the new garden. Mwanza felt grateful for the support of his friends and neighbors, realizing that the true treasure was the love they shared. To celebrate their achievements, the village organized a festival. They prepared food, decorated the village, and invited everyone to join in the festivities. Mwanza and Amina worked hard, excited to see everyone enjoying the fruits of their labor. On the day of the festival, laughter filled the air as villagers danced, sang, and shared delicious meals. Mwanza stood on a small stage, looking out at the smiling faces. "Today, we celebrate our unity and the love that has brought us together," he shouted. The crowd cheered, feeling a deep sense of belonging. Just when things seemed perfect, a heavy rainstorm hit the village. The river overflowed, and many homes were damaged. The villagers worked together to help those in need, but the devastation weighed heavily on everyone's hearts. "We can't let this break our spirit," Mwanza encouraged them. Chibundu stepped up, reminding everyone of their strength. "We have faced challenges before and emerged stronger. Let's rebuild together." The villagers rallied, helping each other with repairs and supporting those who lost their homes. A sense of camaraderie emerged from the ashes of despair. As they rebuilt their homes, the villagers realized how much they had grown together. The storm had tested their friendships, but it also strengthened their bonds. Mwanza and Amina worked tirelessly alongside Chibundu, helping wherever they could. Days turned into weeks, and the village began to heal. "Look how far we've come," Amina said one day, feeling a sense of pride. The villagers had transformed the damage into an opportunity to create something even better. They were no longer just a village. They were a family. As time passed, the village flourished. The school thrived, and the community gardens provided food for everyone. Mwanza and Amina continued to inspire their neighbors, showing the importance of love and unity. Chibundu had become a valuable ally, helping to lead new initiatives. One day, Mwanza stood beneath the baobab tree, reflecting on their journey. The treasure beneath this tree was not gold or jewels. It was the love and support of our community, he said to Amina. She smiled, knowing that their love had changed everything. As the sun set over the village, Mwanza, Amina, and Chibundu gathered with the villagers to celebrate their achievements. "We have built a future filled with hope," Mwanza declared. The villagers cheered, feeling grateful for the transformation that had taken place. Together, they looked towards the horizon, knowing that they had overcome their struggles and forged a strong bond. "Let's continue to work together, no matter what challenges we face," Amina said, feeling the love surrounding them. They all agreed, ready to face the future hand in hand. Years later, as Mwanza and Amina walked through the village with their children, they saw how their community had thrived. The school stood strong, and laughter echoed in the air. The villagers had created a legacy of love, kindness, and support. As they passed beneath the baobab tree, Mwanza smiled, remembering how their journey began. "The true treasure was never about the gold," he said. "It was the love we shared and the community we built." Amina nodded, knowing that together they had created something truly special. The villagers gathered around, celebrating not just their successes but the strong bonds that held them together. In that moment, they realized that love, unity, and friendship were the greatest treasures of all. And that is the end of our story. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with others, and also subscribe for more interesting content.